Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today's video is all about ways you can implement sustainable fashion practices like really easily into your daily routines. I think obviously January is always a big time for people setting resolutions and trying to better themselves, and I think fashion is a really important thing to include in this. I've talked so much, if you're part of this channel you'll know about how consumers can help to be part of the solution when it comes to the wasteful practices of fashion. And so I just wanted to share my tips on exactly how I cut fast fashion out of my life and how you can too. It's beginner friendly, so if you're coming from shopping fast fashion all the time last year and are wanting to cut down on that or even cut that out completely, then this should help. Also, if you are a little bit more advanced, if you've started cutting back on wasteful practices but you're looking for something else to kind of help you along, then I think these should help as well. You can kind of mix and match them or cater them to whatever your needs are. And if you have any other tips you think I've missed below, then please share them so other people in the community can benefit. All right, let's get into it. My first one is about wardrobe tracking apps. So this year I've set myself a goal of tracking what I'm wearing every single day. I'm using an app called Wearing for this. I know there's other ways of doing this, there's other apps. Or if you want to take, a photo or a video on your phone, then that's absolutely fine. The main kind of goal is to have some kind of data at the end of, the year, or even if you want to do a 6-month period, or even just like a month, if that's how you're feeling and you don't want to commit that much. But at the end of this time period, you should have quite a bit of data about what it is you're wearing in your wardrobe almost every day, like what you're reaching for all the time, and the stuff that you're not. Obviously this is going to depend on how long your time period is. You're not going to be wearing summer things in winter, so bear that all in mind. But yeah, it should give you some really strong indications of what you're wearing every day and where maybe you need to invest your money in. So if you're reaching for the same white t-shirt and jeans every single day, and that white t-shirt is starting to feel a bit run down and grubby, then maybe you could look into upcycling that t-shirt and also investing in a new one that's better quality, for example. It should just give you a better indication of where you're at and what your style is. I think this is better than starting off the new year with like a wardrobe clean out, or going into a spring clean in spring. I know I did a video only in the last few months that was a wardrobe clear out, and whilst I think it was super helpful for me, I know I'm not going to be doing that again anytime soon, because I've realised that doing a wardrobe clear out can be so subjective to the time of day you do it, the time of year, your mood on the day, or like what's happened to you. Like it could all depend on that day whether you feel like you want to keep a skirt in your wardrobe or not. It's so subjective. Versus, if you come at this with a lot of data to back you, and you do a wardrobe audit after a year of tracking exactly what you've been wearing that year, then you take the subjectivity out of it. It's a lot easier to kind of say like, well, I haven't worn that skirt all year, so maybe I should donate it, maybe I should upcycle it in some way. You can take the emotions of the day, of the week out of it. And I know this is what I'm going to be doing, when I next decide that I need to do a wardrobe audit. I think it's also a really good way to switch your mindset into a more sustainable, focused one. You can start thinking about clothes in terms of cost per wear, rather than the price tag or the value that brands give the item. So some people might say that it's a lot of money to spend on £80 or £90 on a pair of jeans, for example. But if you're wearing those jeans every single day, then the cost per wear comes down to like 50p over like a 3-month period. Versus maybe you think, oh, this top is only £15 on Boohoo, so I'm gonna buy it, it's cheap, but it turns out you've only worn that top once, so the cost per wear is £15. I just think it's a really simple way to kind of switch your thinking into a more sustainable one. Next tip, and I think this is a really fun one, is trying a challenge. And these are becoming a lot more popular as, you know, more people try to get into sustainable fashion, kind of dip their toes in a way. So if you're a beginner in sustainable fashion, I would definitely recommend doing a shorter term challenge. Like, I think Remake have a 3-month one, which I'll link in the description below. And basically for that 3-month period, you're not buying any new clothes, you can still buy secondhand. And it's a good way to like kind of give yourself a fixed term for not buying clothes if you're a shopaholic or you don't think you could commit to a longer time period to start off with. And often by the end of that time period, you won't miss shopping and it might alter your shopping habits forever, and that would be amazing. But if not, you've still done 3 months of no new clothes. There's also, you know, medium challenges you could go for. Like, I think Fashion Revolution Canada is doing a year-long challenge that's no polyester clothing, which I think is really, really interesting. And they've been sensible with it because you kind of have to have polyester in some clothing. You know, performance clothing like sportswear, there's not really an alternative right now. So they've kind of put that caveat in that if you need sportswear, it doesn't count. But overall, you should be checking the clothes you're going to buy. And if it has polyester, you avoid it for a whole year. And I think this is a really good one, to be honest. You can still buy, you know, natural fabrics which are going to last, but you're avoiding chemical, petroleum, fossil fuel based fabric, which is only a plus. And then, you know, there's a hard one, the rule of 5 one I'm doing, which I've talked about so much on this channel. I think this is obviously a hard challenge, and I've made it a little bit easier for myself by allowing secondhand clothing. You could, you know, go completely advanced and do only 5 items secondhand or firsthand or vintage if you want to. I do want to maybe try this next year. And then also you could set yourself a DIY challenge. So going back to those tracking apps I mentioned, if you wanted to make yourself a challenge that's wear everything in your wardrobe this year at least once. You know, you're getting use out of your wardrobe, you're bringing out clothes you love. And, you know, if you're really struggling to wear something once in a whole year, then that's really good information for when you come to do a wardrobe audit. Next one is try to shop in person if you are going to shop. So back in summer last year, I did a protest outside of a Shein pop-up, and the amount of people I saw queuing up outside versus the amount of people I saw coming out the store having actually bought something was kind of staggering. Like, there was so little people who were actually leaving with something. And I think this, you know, points to a bigger issue, which is my tip, is when people shop fast fashion in store versus online, they can immediately see how bad the quality is, and it turns them off buying something that they maybe would have got delivered to their home. And if you were to shop online, I feel like if it does arrive and you don't like it, you have that barrier of returning and having to, you know, label something, take it to the post office, pay for the returns. That often stops people from returning, and instead they will just chuck something in the back of their wardrobe, which, you know, is a bad idea. And obviously online returns don't always get put back into a shop's inventory. Sometimes it's cheaper than to just throw it away. So trying to commit to shop in store, while it's a little bit annoying, I feel does have some real benefits to consumers, but also to the planet. Something I did really, really early on when I was starting my sustainable fashion journey was removing temptation on social media. So I found myself like sitting there at night wanting to stop shopping and scrolling through Instagram, seeing all these influencers wearing clothes from Zara, H&M, you know, even not technically fast fashion, but, you know, trend-led fashion as well. And it was subconsciously kind of pulling at me to think that I needed to buy new clothes in order to keep up with these trends, in order to dress like these people. And by unfollowing these people, I removed that temptation so quickly, and that kind of like serotonin craving I had to buy something immediately vanished. So I say this is a really, really easy one to just, do now. Like literally pause this video and go do it now. Unfollow at least like 10 people you're following that push fast fashion, and then see how much it impacts you. What's another one? I think make it a social thing is a really, really easy one to do, and one that will help you stick to this goal more. So last year I went along to so many events in London, and it was the first year that I'd done that. So I went along to organised car boot sales, like in Selfridges. I went along to one. I went along to protests. I went along to discussion evenings, and I found that engaging in community events like this really reignited my belief in the whole cause of sustainable fashion. It was really nice to make some new friends, and these are friends that I've kept. So yeah, like even if it's asking a friend to do one of the challenges I mentioned with you, or inviting them out to go shopping in real life and go get a coffee as well or whatever, as soon as you bring other people into it, you're not only asking them to hold you to account for these goals, but you're making it a fun thing that you want to do rather than something you're telling yourself you need to do. Okay, I have one more, so second to last one. Do your research. And I used to hate this phrase when people said do your research when it comes to sustainable fashion. I'm going to explain exactly what I mean, because that's what I struggled with understanding. So when I say do your research, I'm talking about a couple of different things. When you're looking at clothes, check the label, check the percentage of, plastic or polyester in that clothing, and ask yourself if it's too high for what you're buying. So if I'm not shopping activewear, sportswear, something I believe you actually need plastic in for the purpose of that clothing, then if the percentage of plastic is too high, which I deem is like 50% or higher, I'm automatically not buying that item, even if I really, really love it, because it's just too high. Kind of educating yourself on different fabrics, the different impacts of those fabrics can really help. The other thing I think is really, really useful to do is read trade magazines, read like business to business magazines like Business of Fashion or Vogue Business, because this completely changed my outlook on how brands market to consumers. They give you a look into how the industry is constantly trying to make you consume, and it really turns you off consuming. When it's like, when you're getting headlines in your inbox that are like, consumers are really struggling with paying for the cost of living crisis right now. Here's how to get around that. Here's how to convince them to buy your product. It turns you off buying anything. And also you're learning about industry things firsthand from sources. They often have interviews, they often describe terms in a way that's devoid of greenwashing because it's going straight to companies. I just think it's a really good way to quickly learn what you're talking about. And the last one, I think this is a little bit harder because it requires a little bit of effort, to be fair, is renting out your wardrobe. So those items that are sat in your wardrobe, especially like formal wear that you've maybe only worn a couple of times, you can make some good money renting out your clothes. It's maybe on the harder end because you have to organise sending it out to the post office, getting it back. Most apps do this for you. Most apps are really user-friendly when it comes to renting your clothes. And it's something I want to get into in the next couple of years once I've become happier with my wardrobe, I guess. But yeah, you're obviously contributing to a circular economy by allowing other people to rent your clothes. You're making money and your clothes are getting more wears. So it's all bonuses, really. It's just maybe a bit more effort than others. So that's why I put it under advanced tips. But yeah, I think that's all the ones I have right now. If you have any more, like I said, please put them down below. If you want to share anything that's happening in your city where you're watching this, like any sustainable fashion events or, you know, online spaces you know of, then please do so. That would be really, really helpful. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for putting up with me while I'm quite obviously sick. Yeah, and I will see you in the next video. Have a lovely week. Bye.